March 4th, 1965. The day I'll never forget. The day Paul Anderson was born. The day Resident Evil's fate was started being made in 1994. And okay, that was meant to be funnier. My voice is way too Okay, in today's video, we'll be talking about Resident Evil history. So, Paul was the main director of Resident Evil 1, which started getting made in 1994. But what inspired Resident Evil 1? Sweet Homemade. It was an older Capcom game made in 1989. So, we need to know what inspired Sweet Homemade. So, Sweet Homemade was made by this name on screen. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. I've done this voiceover 3 times because my editing software has been bugging out. So there's a lot to talk about. So let's start with Sweet Homemade's plot. A high school student who has to fight for survival of survival of humanity against monsters that has begun to appear in his apartment complex. So why did this movie get made? A comic. So this is a long rabbit hole. So let's hope this comic ends it. Which the comic has the same plot and was a song that inspired it by John Howard Payne. So Resident Evil can be traced back to John Howard Payne. Sorry, I said Pine. So why did he write this song? To express the homelessness he felt after losing his parents at a young age. So Resident Evil can be traced back to dead parents. So a very sad tragedy that Resident Evil can be based on if you try really hard. So maybe Resident Evil 2 has a lighter history. So let's start with a different rabbit hole. December 19th, 1970, the day I'll never... Okay, let's stop with this skit that isn't actually funny. Okay, December 19th, 1970, the day this guy on screen was born. Yet again, I don't know how to pronounce Japanese names. At least I think it is, because a lot of games from Capcom have been made in Japan. So the main director of Resident Evil 2, where he got inspired to make Resident Evil 2 from the transition of styles from the Terminator to Terminator 2, Judgment Day, and Aliens to Aliens. Some movies, not that bad, but what inspired the transition? What inspired those movies? And it was a fever dream, which is caused by sometimes the flu. aka Resident Evil 2 was made because of a real-life virus. Seems fitting. Okay, so you might think that's fine, but the flu has killed almost 1 billion people. So Resident Evil 1 was based off 2 deaths, and Resident Evil 2, 1 billion deaths. Still think it's fine? So maybe Resident Evil 3 will change your mind. The main director, here you go, which was inspired by the movie Day of the Dead, which a third rabbit hole. Day of the Dead was inspired by the traditions of indigenous cultures in Mexico, particularly the Artex, Arzatecs, and Nahan people, which is about 6.05% is for the death rate. And in 2024's Mexico population, which is this year, 130,739,927. So that's about 19,498,870 deaths. So that's about 1,119,000, not thousand, 1,498,872 deaths in total. So Resident Evil 4, okay, this might be a longer video just to let you know, it was made by Shin Monkey. I thought I had that one down, yet again on screen. Said it's based off the 2001 Stuart Gordon film Dragon, where the plot is Paul Martian is yachting on the Spanish coast with 3 companions when a freak storm causes their boat to founder on the rocks. Paul goes to a nearby village to get assistance, as 2 of his friends have been trapped in the boat's wreckage. He noticed that the locals seem odd, and their behavior grows increasingly strange. When Paul sees a mermaid who has appeared in his nightmares, he realizes that the feel for a world is now a reality, which was based off the reality of Makeover in Samouth, which was based off of Lovecraft's movie, which is documented by Lovecraft Biograph L, where not really anyone died. So Resident Evil 4, you're fine for now, but I'll be back when I do the remakes in part 2. So Resident Evil 5's main director on screen, both of them, which was inspired by a film called Black Hawk Down, where the film takes place in 1993, where the U.S. sent special forces to Somalia to destabilize the government and bring food and aid to starving population. Using Black Hawk helicopters to lower soldiers onto the ground, an unexpected Somalia force brings 2 helicopters down immediately. From the U.S., soldiers that are still alive must struggle to regain their balance while enduring heavy gunfire, where it's based off a real battle where a tragedy of 18 U.S. soldiers died. Skipping Resident Evil 6, Resident Evil 7, who was made by Kanashi Nagashi. I don't know why I tried that one. So he makes a return from some of the past games, I think. And Resident Evil 7 was based off the Evil Dead film, which has about 5 deaths on screen. And in the credit, it's also looks like it's going off a little missing people that are probably fake. So Resident Evil 8, main director was this, and he was basing it off Resident Evil 4. So, but Resident Evil 0, the last one we're going to do for this video, was inspired because of a company that just announced the Nintendo 64, but it had low sales numbers, and that means some people lost their jobs, which means no food, which means death. Hopefully that didn't actually happen, but we're trying to make a deep rabbit hole. So Resident Evil is just built off death, death, and more death. But if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe. Part 2 coming in 2027. Just kidding. But I'll see you in the next one. Make sure to subscribe, and I just want to say, you just wasted a couple seconds of your life.